Hello everyone, welcome back to the series on implementing JWT in an Angular application by Smart Semester. In the previous video, we discussed what JWT is, how it works, and what prerequisites are required for this series. In this video, we are going to start with the practical part by setting up our Angular project. So first let's create a new Angular project. Open command prompt. Let me increase the font size. Okay. We are at directory del. Navigate to the directory where you want to create your project. I want to create my project on the desktop. So cd means change directory to the desktop. Enter. Now I am at my directory where I want to create Angular project. To create Angular project, we have a command ng-new and your project name. Let's say JWT-demo and press enter. It will ask few questions like which style sheet format would you like to use. Select CSS. By default it will be CSS, so just enter. And then do you want to enable server side rendering and static site generation? Just press no, and then no, and then none. By default AI tool will be none. Just click enter. See, it is creating our Angular project, installing all the packages required for our Angular project. Once the project is successfully created, open this project inside Visual Studio Code, because it provides excellent support for Angular development with extensions, debugging tools, and better code navigation. How to open this project? First, change the directory to the project. Change directory to JWT demo. Once you are in that directory, type code space dot. Once you now enter, Visual Studio Code will open our project. Like this. Inside the project folder, you will see several files and folders. You can think of this entire structure like a ready-made blueprint that Angular gives us to build our application easily. Let's go through these files and folders in detail. First, we have a file called package.json. Double click on it to open. You can think of this file like a shopping list for our project. It keeps track of all the tools and libraries our project needs to run. Whenever we install something new, this file gets updated. Next, we have angular.json. This file mainly stores settings related to how Angular should build and run our project. You can think of it like a configuration or instruction file that tells Angular how the project should behave. Then we have a folder called node modules. This folder contains all the installed libraries and supporting code required for our project. Usually we don't modify anything inside this folder. Angular and NPM manages it automatically. Now moving to the most important folder, which is the SRC folder. This is where our actual application code lives. Most of our development work will happen inside this folder. Inside this SRC folder, we have index.html. You can think of this file as the main web page that loads when our application starts. It acts like a container that displays our Angular application in the browser. Next file we have is main.ts. This file is responsible for starting our Angular application. It basically tells Angular where the application begins and which component should be loaded first. This is about index.html and main.ts. Now we have app folder, which is the heart of our application. This folder contains our main application component and related files. Inside this folder we have app.component.ts, usually app.ts. This file contains the logic or functionality of our component. You can think of it like the brain of the component. Every component have 4 files: HTML, CSS, TS and spec.ts. So you can think this TS file as brain of the component. And then we have app.html. This file contains the user interface, or what we actually see on the screen. Then we have app.component.css, in short just CSS. This file is used to style the component and make it visually better. And finally we have spec.ts. This file is mainly used for testing the component. As beginners, we don't need to focus much on this right now. Finally we have app.module.ts. In the latest Angular versions, that app.module.ts is similar to app.config.ts. You can think of this file like a central manager that connects all components and tells Angular which parts belong to our application. Now that we have understand the project structure, let us run the Angular application. To run the project, I will open the terminal. Here you can see 3 dots. Click on terminal, new terminal, and execute the command to start the development server. To execute that, type ng server and then enter. Once the server starts successfully, it will provide a local development URL. Here, for the first time, it will ask enter no, and then the development server will start. Once the server started successfully, it will provide the URL. Copy it and then go to the browser and paste it. Enter. If you enter, we can see the default Angular welcome page. Now let us understand how this output is being displayed. Let's go back to the Visual Studio Code. Let me minimize this terminal. As I said, index.html is the main web page that loads when our application starts. This index.html file contains a root selector tag. See, here you can see in the entire body we have just root selector tag. anything which is enclosed within the Angular braces is known as tag, right? We have root selector tag. This selector loads the root component of our Angular application. This is the root component app. It is by default given by Angular while creating the project. As I said before, every component have 4 files: CSS file, HTML file, spec.ts and app.ts. If you open app.ts, you can see here app-root. This is the selector for this component. So anything which has been placed inside this app.html, to view this inside our index.html, we should place this selector from components ts file in index.html. For app component, its ts file is app.ts. Here we can see its selector app-root. The same thing we have placed inside index.html inside the body. So whatever content we place inside app component HTML file will be displayed in the browser. Now to verify this, I am going to remove the default content present inside the app.html. You can just select entire file, Ctrl+A, backspace it and add a simple h1 tag. Hello, welcome to Smart Semester channel. So we replaced entire app.html markup with just header tag. Save it. Here you can see our changes have been updated to the client. Now if you go to the localhost 4200 where our application is running, you can see the changes what we did. This confirms that our app component is successfully controlling the UI displayed on the page. That's it. Our Angular project setup is successfully completed. In the next video, we will start understanding one of the core building blocks of Angular, which is components. By default, there is a app component given by Angular. What if we want to create more components? What is component? How to build them? We will see all about this in next video. We will also start building the components required for our JWT based Angular project. Thank you for watching.